Men aren't what they used to be. Men aren't the guys today, are not the guys that settled the western United States in covered wagons and they went from the East Coast to the West Coast. Men aren't the guys from the 14 and 1500s that sailed the oceans blue to find various parts of the world.
Right, and that's hurting us.
I mean, in a devastating manner.
Because they're not pulling the trigger and not taking action and risks, which is how we survived.
Correct.
Instead, they are having self-esteem issues.
Correct.
Because they're being told that you shouldn't be aggressive, the patriarchy is bad, you have privilege, and you need to tone it down.
Correct. Well, not just tone it down, not have it.
Right.
And it gets back to athletics. Our three children, which are millennials, we had right at the outer edge as our oldest son, but they were in athletic programs in schools just when the no-win, you participate ribbons. And I took them out of athletics. When they were, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 20-some years ago, that's when that started. And that was the beginning of the deterioration of in my judgment, manly education. Now,
so you're fighting back against that.
Correct.
And so this is a social experiment as much as a business.
You're making it sound better than it is. That's not how I thought of it. And that's not how I think about it. But anthropologists, sociologists would say exactly what you just said. In fact, some very bright guys at some of the universities that I've had the privilege of talking at to the students have said the same thing.
Right. And if you look at the evolution of the Castle Seminar, which I want to get to, it now features boxing.
Correct.
And even some of my team here at London Real said, are you serious? And they know you. And I'm like, yeah, for the last 6 months or 9 months, they box it out in the middle of a 7-day seminar where you're wearing suits and ties, being waited on by butlers who used to work for the Queen in Buckingham Palace, finest foods. I've been there, it's all real. And then they punch each other in the face in the middle of it.
Correct.
Okay. So this is the first time I've ever really seen it from this lens. So you're teaching...
And just stopping.
Yeah.
Of the 24 people, normally 18 will go in the boxing.
And it's voluntary.
It's voluntary. And but the ones that aren't going in normally have some physical deformity or something. Something's wrong with them, and we don't advertise that. But 95% or 98% of the able do it. A third of the ones that go in the ring have never been in a fight in their whole entire life, even on a schoolyard as a kid. Okay. The one that I have on social media where that guy is throwing a right, overhand right, and on a guy that he was hitting a Canadian guy, that's a PhD in mechanical engineering from whatever, the Max Planck Institute in Germany, and he had never thrown a punch. He was scared, trembling before he got in the ring, okay? And he had never been disciplined as a kid. He'd never been screamed at as a kid. He'd never, he was a goody little two-shoes, PhD, and...
he was in his suit when he threw the punch, right?
No, he wasn't.
In the early days, some of the guys were wearing barefoot in their suits.
Some of the guys, because they weren't going to fight, and then they got involved in the moment. They hadn't brought the right shit, so then they got involved in the moment, because the guys enjoy it. But one of the reasons we came up with the boxing is because before we started the boxing, we had 4 fights in 3 seminars of the guys duking it out. I go to sleep. They never fight when I'm awake. I go to sleep. We say, Sally and I say goodnight. And then in the morning we find out, we've only had a couple of pieces of furniture broken. And the guys bellied up. They paid for it.
In the castle, they're fighting, throwing punches after you go to bed. Okay.
Correct. About a year ago, we had a little Arab guy who had a little teeny mouse who had been pushed around by a bigger guy. And graduation night, he cold-cocked him as he was walking through the main hall.
Okay, but that's all your fault, right? Because you're alpha everybody up that week.
The adrenaline is pumping. I mean, some of the guys didn't even know what an adrenaline rush was.
Okay, so this is a positive thing.
Yeah.
So look, I remember when I was up at the castle, I said they don't make him like Dan Pena anymore, and we should cherish for what he tells us. You're kind of giving us a glimpse into what we were in the past. And you're trying to remind us that there were good things there.
Yeah.
And what do you say against all the people that say, well, violence isn't the solution, and we should embrace the feminine side, and all of that stuff.
Okay, I'll say if love worked, there would be no personal development. Love doesn't got the job done. Okay? Love doesn't work. Religion doesn't work. Nothing works other than if you have self-esteem as a human being. You're a better person, you're a better father, you're a better husband, better wife, whatever the hell, you know, you're a better citizen. You take life more serious if you have self-esteem, if you have self-worth. I said at dinner the other night, Gallup poll did in 2016-17 a study. 86.6% of the people on the planet, of the 7.6 or 7 billion, are unhappy. They've locked out. They're not looking for anything in life. And I say I'd like to find the 13%, because most people are living hand to mouth. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck. Okay, that's why your programs are so successful, because you give them alternatives. Okay, that's why Dan Logue's programs are so successful, because he gives them alternatives, and the alternatives aren't being taught. When I was at these various universities I've had the privilege of speaking at, one of the first questions I ask is, how many classes have you had in buying a business? How many classes have you had in selling a business? No hands go up. How many classes have you had? This is the business schools.
Right.
How many classes have you had in leadership? None. Except for Naval Academy more recently, none. Well, then how in the fuck, what are they teaching you here? You know? If you don't know how to buy a business, sell a business, and you can't lead the people, but they're not being taught. There's that many.
You're trying to change all that.
Correct.